and live streaming in 1080p.
I can't believe Harrison just said that. He will be able to wash his mouth out with this detergent.
P as in,
I can't believe.
Shut up. P as in, P. Okay, let's just say it. Hello. This is our weekly fun non-FCC experiment where we experiment without the FCC. In other words, it's like condomless onanism. Now, there's a good biblical term. And anytime we use biblical terms, we're going to be okay in the new America, that's for sure. Let me reintroduce the great Rory Penland, man of 1,487 voices. Always good to see you, sir.
That pig never knows when to shut the hell up. Daffy,
and of course, the
getting to be good, Daffy. Stop it.
The ever bountiful, brilliant, whose calipigious brain, even though that's usually a term referred, when talking about buttocks, but we could use it in a brain sense today. The ever calipigious brain, capacious brain of the great Renée Yaworsky. And hello, Renée. Hello from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hello. And, I got to use the word pulchritudinous earlier today.
Good.
So we're both doing that. And it's like, how often do you get to use, and I got to alliterate it with powerful, pulchritudinous, pensive, pondering. It was fantastic. I appreciate the vocabulary. Thank you.
And there was Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think Rory had posted some clips on her being interviewed by 60 Minutes. And then, of course, there was a riff done on Comedy Central about all of the different alliterations used. Dingbat, dirtbag. They just went on forever. And they should go on through the entire alphabet, frankly.
And she had to sit there and take it. That was the best
she
part.
did.
She just
and then kind of to explain a little bit. Like, I'll tell you what's disheartening as hell. Here's CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, also known as Viacom. So basically every movie, every streaming app. I mean, this is not a tiny organization. Comedy Central, which is Comcast. If you have cable or internet, you have Comcast. There's no reason why they can't turn to her and say, gee, why would people be calling you all these terrible names? You're such a lovely person. Lovely people don't have bodyguards, do they? I mean, seriously, who has bodyguards? Russian oligarchs.
Well, that's just the media. I expect it from them.
Yeah, the media is not, we're not gun-toting. We're just not. Do you know how heavy it is carrying a camera and lights and microphones? It's enough. Holding around an AK-15 or AR-15. But seriously, why not ask her the most obvious question instead of please respond to epithets? I mean, you could respond, oh, well, it's terrible. Oh, I'm embarrassed. Oh, people are like, wait, how dare they? I'm in Congress. I'm in goddamn Congress. I'm in Congress. You're incongruent, honey. That's the problem. Why? I wonder if everyone even knows who we're talking about at this point. Maybe not.
Woman.
What are these people talking about? Members of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the famous one that told us about the Jewish lasers. So apparently, this is not Israeli lasers. This is Jewish lasers. Like the guy down the street who might be Jewish is firing lasers at you somewhere and doing something to your brain, which is why your memory is failing. This is
I'm going to aim at the California forests, damn it.
Yes, that's what it was. The Jews in Manhattan, maybe, or Pennsylvania.
They don't know how to clean up their forest. We're gonna nail them.
Firing lasers across the continent and into the woods of California and causing great wildfires. Insane. So last week, you guys, I was traveling a bit, and we didn't really get into it because it was kind of awkward for me where I was sitting at the time. But have you ever been invited to go on a trip somewhere?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And abroad, like in Europe, and you're totally dependent on the person who invited you or your hosts.
Yeah. Right. So that's the thing, is you say, well, it's a good idea. And I said, look, I don't get vacations. I'm not European. I don't get 6, 8, 10, 14 weeks of paid vacation to just go, stretch out and then go back to my health care and retirement. We don't get that in the United States. In fact, we get nothing in the United States. And if you're lucky, you might get 1 week, but they don't pay you for it. So we don't take vacations. So the idea of if you go on a vacation with someone who's from another country, they expect you to just blow off life for 1 week and then eat, $80 restaurants, $150, $200. Why not? And it's like, are you crazy? Seriously? Like, if somebody invites you on a trip, just know they want one of two things. A, you're going along to be their warmth in the bed at night, in which case you could say yes or no before you go. I'm going to say that again. Before you go, you have to negotiate all this stuff because there's so much like unspoken stuff that people assume is happening. And when you arrive, you pay, you owe. And after a trip, they will let you know how displeased they were. So I really haven't said much, but so there. Right. Yeah.
Cary, I'm never inviting you again.
Well, that's the thing is in a recent situation, I was asked, somebody said, I'm going on this trip and I don't like to travel alone. Now, I do like to travel alone. I do like to be at home alone. I am okay alone. I am independent. I am a free spirit. I can sit for 3 hours alone and not be disturbed. In fact, don't fucking disturb me. Leave me alone for 3 hours because my life is it's media intensive. Like, and what if you want to read a book? I can't have somebody sitting on my lap and try to read a book. Not going to work. But some people require someone else to be sutured to their hip or they can't be happy.
Yeah, it's almost like an emotional support person, and I've been that for other people. I've had people who they don't want to go into a grocery store, and they'll say to me, "Can you please just be there?" And I'm saying, "What am I going to do there?" Well, just be there for the emotional support that I have to be in public, And I feel like after quarantine, I think people became ever more sort of immured into the domestic lifestyle, right? That it's scary to go out into the world now. We've been trained. It's like the secret garden all over again, where we think we're just going to, something bad is going to happen. So I've noticed that, and I've been that person for other people. And some people need to be constantly entertained even inside the house. And that's another thing. They need you to pay attention to them all the time. Myself, I'm very autonomous. I don't care about that. But a lot of people need that attention.
Yeah. And so if you say up front, look, I'll go accompany you, but I am not taking a vacation. I'm not paying for a vacation that I don't have. It's like I don't desperately need to go on. I mean, sure, we all do. We're in America. We all desperately do need to go on a vacation, but we can't pull it off because we have way too many responsibilities and things don't self-pay if you decide not to. It doesn't work that way. In this country right now, if you miss a mortgage payment or a rent payment, you may very well be on the sidewalk. And if you're on the sidewalk, you are never, ever, 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 ever leaving that sidewalk. Because guess what you don't have on the sidewalk? A shower. Without a shower, you can't go in and get a job interview. Without the job interview, you can't get a job. What's your address? The sidewalk. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Seriously, what's your address? The sidewalk. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming in today. Am I right? Yes. And many of us, millions, tens of millions, maybe 150 million of us are that 1 minute away from the sidewalk. So going on, luxury holidays with someone sounds like a really great idea, but you have to work the whole time. So basically, you just have to become a digital nomad and swap your workload. They don't understand that. They want to sit in the sun for 3 hours. Now, I'm a little Caucasoid. So me sitting in the sun for 3 hours, as much as I love it, my dermatologist will pull out a horsewhip and flog me to obliteration. You know what I
It's
mean?
not good for you. It's not good for the Caucasoids. Myself, speaking myself, yes, I have very fair skin. It is not a good idea. But this is the thing. When you travel with a person, or if you are the inviter and not even the invitee, where you have to be respectful of the other person where they are. You have to meet them where they are. And somebody's responsibilities might not be the same as someone else's responsibilities, right? Or even their economic background. And I've noticed this my whole life. You go somewhere, you show up, and then suddenly they're imposing on you. It could even be dietary things. I used to be a vegan like back when I was a teenager, and then I was a vegetarian for many years. And that was like a creepy thing back then, because we're going back to the 90s or the early 2000s. I think it comes down to respect. And to be a good travel companion, you have got to ask other people, what are your expectations and how can I help you fulfill those so that you can have a good time? Two schedules might be totally different. Two needs might be totally different. But I've noticed a lot of people, they will foist on you right when you're vulnerable, right when you're like, in Rome or something, or you're in Paris. And suddenly it's like, oh, I thought you were picking up this tab. Or,
Oh,
oh, I thought that
yeah,
you
you
were
got it.
staying an extra week,
You
right?
got it. You should be grateful. Like,
Right.
why aren't you paying for this and this and this just to show your appreciation? You say, because this wasn't my idea. And I don't need to eat at restaurants and drink that and eat that. Honestly, I'm good with a burger, a hot dog, a grape leaf, or a friggin' protein bar. Seriously, you know? And you end up getting so deep in the shit and you cannot dig your way out because remember, they're on vacation and they want it to look and smell like a vacation. And you're on budget traveling. You're on how much can I milk out of this one part so I don't have to? It's just hard. I know other people have had this experience, and sometimes I get suckered into it thinking you just want somebody there. Okay, I could be there, but I have to work the whole time. So I'm going to be working the whole time. And I am very good at communicating that. I will be working the whole time. You'll see me for meals. You'll see me intermittently, but I'm going to be working. I have my laptop and me. We are working together. My laptop and me will be. That is never heard. It is never
No, it's
remembered.
not heard. It's not heard, Cary. That's the thing, is that so one of the tips that you posited at the beginning of this is that before you get ensconced into one of these commitments and you find yourself in Venice or something and you're just there and you're dependent on another person in any way, shape, or form, or they're going to be angry with you because their expectations weren't met. You can tell them, like you said, I've been in this exact same situation. I tell them from the get-go what they can expect from me. This is my schedule. This is my budget. This is when I need to be back. And these are non-negotiables. They all nod their heads, right? They're going to nod their head. The second they get you into the hotel, they're going to change it. And they start doing the guilt trip. Well, let's just, an extra 3 days. And it's like, no, I told you from the outset. So what do you think this is, Cary? Is this narcissism? What is this? Why do people do this? Why do they not listen when somebody is telling them their needs and expectations?
I think a lot of it is kind of like when you go on a date. It's the lure to get the fish to bite. Once the fish is bitten, then maybe you pull the hook more through the cheek, and then you start reeling it in. And the whole point is that ultimately you're going to yield. But the problem is that we're not kidding. When we say, I really have to do stuff, you really have to do it. And often you can forget how much you have to do because you're in a different location. And maybe you'll say yes a couple of times and you should say no. And that opens, you're basically knocking down your boundaries. And you have to support and defend your boundaries here. Otherwise, you're going to get screwed. So I'll give you an example. And I went on this trip with this guy a while ago, and really a nice guy, but European. So had, 400 weeks of paid vacation, paid everything. You're European. If you look, they pay about maybe 42% taxes, which we would go, oh my God, because we pay what, 31%? But for 42% taxes, you get everything. Let's say you lose your job for 2 years. They will pay your rent. Your taxes will pay your rent for 2 years and send you for free to university. and send you to the spa for 3 weeks. You could bring everyone up and do a triple split screen. I really don't want to feel alone here. There we go. Much better. And little tiny Renee, little
Yeah,
Renee.
Rory hates tiny Renee. He just hates her. He hates her.
And so
Sometimes
If
your
you-
makeup just ain't right, you know.
if you put all that we get, I mean, for what we have to pay retail for that other people have built into their systems, our taxes are like 82%. Add in your own medical. Oh, I got a mosquito bite. I went to a walk-in clinic, $900, $1,500, $3,000. Seriously. And this is how you miss your rent. You end up on the sidewalk. It's really atrocious. So if you look at everything that we do in America is a la carte and retail, if it were included in our taxes here, equivalency would be about 80% taxes. Whereas it's much less. And here's my point. I don't know what my point is. Here's my point. So what is my point? Do I have a point? Or is
No,
it
your point is that if somebody, there's two different rubrics going on here. This guy is European. He's used to having all this vacation. He's work-life balance.
That's it. Yeah. So one, when you travel with someone and they tell you we're going to stay at X hotel, you need to look at Google Maps or Apple Maps if you're a moron. But look at Google Maps, something that's real that actually, is going to be accurate. No offense to Apple Corporation. I'm in their ecosystem. I'll never get out no matter what I do. But come on, using TomTom for Apple Maps, seriously. So look at Google Maps and plot out where is the hotel from the airport. And when you find out if it's more than 5 hours from the airport in a foreign country, just say no, like Nancy Reagan. Just say no, except you don't know that it's more than 5 hours.
Shouldn't be more than an hour from the airport. That's right.
So you drive 5
You don't
hours.
want to be too close to the airport because the planes will keep you up,
Well, so I land, and this hotel is 5 hours away. It's at the tip of the other end of Nowheresville. And this is in part of Mexico. And they have basically a 2-lane road, except it's a 1-lane road. There's no yellow stripe in the middle. You just kind of intuit which half is yours. And the trucks are intuiting which full side is theirs. And that's the whole side. In other words, the whole road. And it's at night and there's no street lamps. 4 hours, 12 minutes to go. And it's nothing but giant trucks tearing down the middle at you and honking. And you go ripping up onto the shoulder through the brush and then back on. And there's no laws, no cops, no nothing. And it is just nightmarish. This is what I was going to tell you last time. And it was so insane. So you're basically driving on the shoulder. But what is also on the shoulder? Oh, motorcycles are on the shoulder because they don't want to deal with the trucks. And maybe some cows. Why not? Why not have some cows randomly on the side of the road? Maybe dogs. Dogs might be just running across in front of the truck going 180 miles an hour. Completely insane.
Some chickens.
Yes. You want to find out the distance of the hotel from the airport. And then, and all that. Anyway, I think I'm just like a moron tonight, and I'm sure everyone is agreeing. I'm just.
So you were fearful for your life, were you?
Well, yes. Seriously.
Usually, when you are invited on a trip, you shouldn't be fearful of your life. You shouldn't be worried that you're going to wake up in a bathtub full of ice without a kid.
Okay, I do have a friend who is on an app called Grindr, which is like Tinder. It's the predecessor to Tinder.
I've heard of it.
Yes. And he was in Colombia and met somebody at a restaurant, because that's what Europeans do. Here in America, it's just you're ordering in your food. It just comes in a human body. You use the app. I remember interviewing the guy who created Grindr named Joel Simkai, and this is years ago. he had made so much money, 130 million or something like that, that he had to create a nonprofit, because that's what you do in America. If you don't want to pay taxes, you create a nonprofit and you throw all the money in the nonprofit, because nonprofits don't pay taxes. So he created Grindr for Equality. You can go ahead and split the screen. He created Grindr for Equality, which, if you know anything about Grindr or Tinder or anything else, do they give a shit about equality? Ever? No. Do they stand for anything? No. Do they want you just to meet up and MEAT, meet up? Yes. So the whole idea of Grindr for Equality, Grindr is just so emotionally they want you to get married. They want their app to be used as a dating app for intimacy. They want you to develop your intimacy problems, work them out through Grindr, please. So I was asking him, I said, so how many unique chats? Let me see if I can read that. There it is. I'm having anxiety just picturing this. Well,
white knuckling it at best. She's talking about the driving in Mexico, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Good for you. Good, normal human response. Normal human response. Trucks peeling by, tearing down, up on the shoulder, ripping back, and the speed limit is kilometers, not miles per hour. So the speed limit is 110 kilometers per hour, which you get used to 110 really being only maybe 80, maybe, I don't know. But it starts to feel like 110. And the trucks are definitely doing like 190, 10. Yeah, it's something else. So Grindr, this guy said that, how many unique chats a day do you have? So if you don't know what Grindr is, everyone else knows what Tinder is. Same thing. The only difference between Grindr and Tinder is Grindr generally has no women on it, maybe for a reason.
Okay, that's why it's grind. Okay, got it.
That's why it's called Grindr. Tinder, which is Grindr, but it's for women and not women. In other words, men and women. But Tinder is extraordinary because for the first time in human history, the women are in charge. You go on Tinder, a woman's like, nah, swipe. And every time for thousands of years, it's always been the men. The men grab what they want, they take what they want, and the women are just there to be taken, and women are in charge on Tinder. They decide, he may be hot, but I think the accountant seems nicer. Swipe. And here's the hot guy who spends all day at the gym and he knows, yeah, baby, she wants me. Yeah, you want me, don't you? Yeah. And she's like, psh. And here's some boring accountant. She's like, he'd be a good father. He'll show up at night. He'll come home. He'll be there for dinner. Not swipe. And the accountant's like, I don't know what happened, but this is great. Women in charge. Imagine that. That's Tinder. So Grindr, they have 33 million unique chats a day. Conversations all over the world, 120 different countries. So I'm asking the owner, the developer of this, who's Israeli. And if you're Israeli, the Israeli government pays for the development of your app. So you can save, $10 million in R&D. Kind of good. One of the benefits. And so 120 countries, 33 million chats. I said, what have you learned about humanity? Oh, well, we don't look at the chats. Really? And a dead air is appropriate right here. Oh, we don't look at the chats. Come on. And it's like, well, maybe we have a sense of, are you kidding? If you can get 33, just a one-day sample of 33 million, you can manipulate the human race like nobody's business. Pretty much you can distill down what do people want, what do they hate, what do they love, what turns them on, what turns them off, what's their favorite color, what's their favorite position. You figure all that crap out, you are a god. Then you can start to gear your app toward that. But of course, they don't read the chats. I said, so 33 million chats, which might end up in, let's say, 20 million hookups a day. I said, why not Grindr against syphilis? Or Grindr? I mean, seriously, do you take any responsibility for a hurricane of STDs? that are just washing over a community that's vulnerable. Let's face it, very friggin' vulnerable.
The
That they have to have
crime
a
with any
top secret
blister.
app.
No.
Yeah. I mean, do you
That's
take any
famous.
responsibility? Like use our app and we're going to send you a case of free condoms. It's kind of like when you would go to Gay Pride in West Hollywood, California, which pulls in about 400,000, 450,000 people. There are giant cardboard garbage cans that just say ID lube on the side, and they're handing out lube all over the place. Now, who doesn't want free lube? And I don't know what you use it for. According to Rory, you might massage your instrument.
Yeah.
Am I right?
There you go.
You might.
Something
You might
would-
not. You
something
might
would-
not. Yeah. Well, as what do they call it in Florida? They're not allowed to use the word lube. It's called
Might want to wax your brain.
massage jelly, personal massage jelly, PMJ. Yeah, personal massage jelly.
Like a
And I'm like,
sandwich.
yeah, I know, right? Because in
You
Florida,
want PMJ?
yeah, in Florida, while it may have the highest STD rate in the world, people, I know, let's not get into it. So they just hand out lube all over, and it's like lube minus the condoms. Like, that's very clever. So does the Lube Corporation take any responsibility? No, because they're not putting it on you. And they're not even giving you instructions. They're just handing you a little foil packet. You have to figure out what should I do with this? Does it go on a hamburger? Like, it's clear. Is it mustard?
Can we use that like in the body?
Yes.
But I've got lube.
But I've got lube. Why
I've got
no?
lube.
Why say no? I brought lube. The answer should be yes.
It's a great day. We got lube.
I can have one foil packet of lube. Lose it or use it. What should we do? What were we talking about? They got us on this.
I always know, but I want to interject because you were talking about startups. You were talking about Grindr and Tinder. You were talking about women wielding sort of the and it's funny because at this exact moment in time, I'm reading Kara Swisher's Burn book, which is she's an insider reporter from Silicon Valley. She knew Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all of them from the very beginning, and she exposes everyone. She talks about Uber, the Travis guy from Uber, everything. And basically these companies, they just are there to collect data. And Mark Zuckerberg, and he had to apologize for this, it's hilarious, but they found one of his texts and he talked about us, his users of Facebook, and how we trust him with our data. And the text that he wrote was, "They trust me, the fuckwads, like LOL, aren't they idiots?" And then he had to come out and say, "Oh, I didn't really mean it." Well, of course he did. They take our data, they acquire our data, and then they have, like Cary said, they're not going to pay anything for all the STDs or all of the falderall that comes as the backlash. So these are pretty evil corporations, to be honest with you. But carry on. Literally,
hold on
carry.
just a second, please. Henry, I'm finishing up a live stream. Can I call you back in like 10 minutes? I'll do that. Bye.
Magic alive.
I just thought you'd like to see me use a telephone. That was a telephone call. So I interviewed Mark Zuckerberg back in 2008, I think. You'll remember, Renee, you'll remember, Rory, you'll remember something called MySpace. Vaguely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It looked like bad website. Very, very, as Donald Trump would say, very, very bad website. Very, very bad website. And that was what we were all using. And Zuckerberg was having imminent, inchoate success with Facebook. It was just starting to erupt like a carbuncle, like a multi-pimpled carbuncle. It was ready to explode into the public. Is that an image or what? You see it?
Sounds like you need lube.
So this is the only time, because nobody knew who he was. and he wants people to get on this Facebook idea. So he's doing, at least in the major markets. I'm in LA at the time. So he comes on, major shows, and we're talking to this guy named Mark Zuckerberg about this thing called Facebook that he says is going to blow away MySpace. And the whole idea of blow away MySpace, what could it possibly look like? I mean, MySpace is like a free website, free. And you could upload pictures on it that, are at angles and shit, and nothing matches. But it's free. It's, he said, oh no, it's going to look kind of like a newspaper. And I said, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of all of this? He said, it's simple.
Nerd.
He said, do you remember AOL? I'm like, yeah, I remember AOL. Now, remember AOL. What was AOL? AOL was the internet. If you left AOL back in the mid-90s, there was no internet. You got a black C prompt. Do you remember that? Or you got a black screen or a blank screen with a C prompt blinking in the corner. If you left AOL, it was just the internet, which had nothing on it because people didn't have a million websites yet, or a billion or 10 billion. So AOL, which we were all on, it was the way to connect to the internet through AOL. You didn't have, unless you were really rich, you didn't have some modem sitting in the corner where you could. No, AOL dialed in through your landline. You paid your $20 a month fee for it. In there were chat rooms, which is how people first realized, oh, the internet is interesting that way. You could buy flowers on there. You could do all your shopping. So it was an entire contained ecosystem, kind of like an online Walmart for everything you need, from dating, romance, food, not really, but arranging. It had almost streaming video, almost audio. I mean, it wanted to. If you had broadband, which nobody knew what that was, but high speed, dial up plus. But it was where we all lived, and everything you knew or wanted, including your search engines and all of that, were contained within AOL. That's what Zuckerberg was doing. He said, do you remember that? I said, yeah. He said, remember how difficult it was, but how cool it was? Yes. That's what Facebook is going to be. Facebook is going to be a place where you can buy everything. You'll never need to leave Facebook. I said, but there's so much out there. Why wouldn't I want to leave Facebook? He said, well, that's the cool thing here. Facebook, we're working on these things called algorithms, and it's going to study your behavior, and it's going to learn what you like and then start feeding you just what you like. Like, wouldn't you like to have news that actually just interested you? Now, we know what that is now. It's echo chambering. It's just telling you the same, cherry picking stuff. It doesn't have to be true or false, but it just speaks to your like little tiny appetites. And then you become a total moron. And then you're susceptible to messaging and buying whatever. So he wanted to trap us all like animals in a giant zoo. And he said, a lot of people don't have friends. They're, like as Renee pointed out last time, incels, like an incel, an involuntary celibate. Well, some people are involuntary friendless people, right? No, you don't agree?
Sure.
Okay. Some people.
I just can't believe that Zuckerberg admitted to you back then that that's what he was doing.
He hadn't thought this through yet. And remember, I'm not talking to him like everyone else does. I'm asking him the questions that are interesting to me. I'm not saying, how did you come up with, it's like all the rest of them. When did you come up with this idea? How long have you married your wife? Wow, Facebook, what an interesting name. How did you come up with that? Wow, all your friends have signed up. How many people do you, no. Because I'm thinking, like, what the fuck? Recreating AOL. Why? Because AOL, I remember I was trapped like a fish. I tried to leave AOL and I did, and I got the blank thing and the C prompt. So there's a payoff. He said, well, you know how some people don't really have friends? I said, yeah. He said, well, with
like me.
He didn't say that. Right?
He likes me.
I think you have to be him to come up with the fact that he said, now people can have thousands of friends. I said, thousands of friends? He said, yeah, like they don't have to be your real friends because you'll never really meet them, but they can be anywhere. You can have friends in Iowa. And I said, well, becoming friends is like, it's a process. You get to know each other, you like each other, you trust each other, you become friends. He's like, not really. That's not really what friends are. Friends are people who are there. I said, yeah, they're there. I know them. They know me. No, they're there. I'm like thinking, what does that mean? What do you mean they're there? That's what he meant. So like Timmy in Arkansas, friend, I'm going to friend Timmy. Timmy and I are friends. I have 6,842 friends. Good for me. I am a popular guy. You know, do I know any of them? No. Do they smell? Couldn't tell you. Have they showered in a week? Wouldn't even know. But they're my friends. Do your friends shower? Don't know. Don't care.
I guess.
Yeah. And then this hadn't happened yet, but they hadn't worked in the likes yet. And then you can like people. I like that. I like this. I like that. And do you remember in the days when the likes actually had value? If you had like 50 million likes, it didn't turn into money, but it turned into, you got a gold badge or some bullshit. But this was his thing. He knew that people would get intensively addicted to this, that their narcissism would explode and their appetites to have all these friends who are not even acquaintances, but in their world, and they could say they have 5,000 friends on Facebook. You know, and then later you're able to start selling stuff and all of that. So he knew the idea was to trap people, give them what they've never been able to do on their own, which is have a friend. Yeah. Right. Like you'd actually have to like offer something to have a friend. He knew it though. And you're stuck there. And now Facebook is passé for a lot of people. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Most people don't hang out on Facebook, except maybe your mother.
So
yeah, your mother now goes on Facebook because she can find a recipe or maybe somebody from 1953 hanging out somewhere. But generally, it's just not that big anymore because there's TikTok and all the rest of it.
The other day, I was trying to get somebody to come on my show, a show of mine, and I found his son on Instagram. And I said, can you tell your dad I'm interested in having him come and talk on this show? And he said, oh, you can find my dad on his Facebook page. That goes right into what you said.
Yeah. Monetized friendship. Very good. Monetized friendship. Yeah, that's what it is. And if you get a thumbs up and a like, can you read that for me, Rory?
I can't. I'm on my little phone now.
Okay. This is
to go.
Okay, so John Duncan in Tasmania says, algorithms shut down people's minds, validate their existing prejudices, and take away their potential to be open to new ideas and experiences. Thank you, John Duncan. And thank you, Gregory Gannon, too.
Yes. And isn't it funny? I'm looking at Rory because Rory is this big on my screen and the text is under him, and I assume he must be closer to it. Not the case. It's just the position of you and the text, therefore, almost because I am now succumbing to the fact that I think it's real, that I think looking at you there, you're actually sitting there and you can just look 1 inch away and read what's on the screen.
My big eyes can read the small text.
I don't know why that killed me. Oh, that was
Laser
vision. We should have a literacy class together.
But will I get you lube?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the whole Facebook thing. And here he is now, having entrapped, what is it? Is it 2 billion people? Something like that on Facebook, on the platform?
God knows.
Yeah. And not ever reading any of it.
And again, he's running Instagram too. It's like, why? You had a platform. What are you doing making this other platform that basically does the same thing.
Because Instagram is the new Poland, and Facebook is the old Germany, and it's 1938.
We are going to take over the internet.
Yes, there it is. Well, you guys, this has been great fun. I know you've been doing shows all day, so you must be ready to take a breather.
I'm good.
And thank you, Renee, for everything.
That was him segueing, Rory. You're supposed to say yes, yes. Let's wrap it up.
She wants.
You're not supposed. You have to agree. You're not supposed to say that.
No, he gets to do whatever he wants. This is a free speech zone.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. My
away.
dictatress inner self just left
I'm just
on
very
him.
happy that I got my moment with the big eyes.
What does that
This
say?
was the Tinder. This says, John Duncan said, ha ha ha, brilliant analogy, Cary. And earlier,
John, you're my friend.
And earlier, Facebook user said, back when you were talking about the roadways, Mexican roadways, the libertarian dream, no rules, smiley face.
Yeah.
It's like going down to Key West down in the Keys, man. It's 2 lanes most of the way. And again, if a big truck or a mobile home, one of those big mobile home wide loads comes in.
Yeah. Double wides.
Oh, geez. Watch out for the pelicans.
But at least we have what we call here, or what they call here, that we're required to comply to, is the rules of the road. So at least in Key West, you know that you're going to be going 14 miles an hour for the next 6 hours.
Yeah, really.
And there it's like, I'm going to go 14 miles an hour and then 140 miles an hour. Not that I want to go 140, but I have 4 trucks behind me with their brights on and the grill right up my ass, and they're going faster and faster. It's like that movie Duel from that Spielberg movie, the very first thing he ever did on TV. Yeah, it's like I got a goddamn 9,000-ton truck up my ass, and he is going to run me off the road because there's no cops, there's no laws, it's libertarian mayhem, and a big truck is bigger than a crappy little VW Golf, isn't it?
All of a sudden, it's Jeepers Creepers. You got the truck up your ass. Oh, no.
Yes, it's terrible.
Is that a gargoyle driving that truck?
That's right. So, you guys, I do have to go. It has been a wonderful hour as always. We'll have to pull that little moment of Rory and his eyeballs, because that was the keeper. That was the keeper. That was the sweet spot of the show. And we try to, keep these things in a quiver. And I appreciate
it wouldn't be a Cary Harrison Files without saying quiver. I think we always say quiver, but we didn't do any of the mushroom analogies, and we didn't do any phallus analogies. And there's one more thing that they look forward to.
Yeah, we didn't. Did we even? No, we just talked about Grindr, but we didn't talk about what people do. And with
we
what?
Didn't. And there's also one more thing that they look forward to, but they'll remind us. Gregory Gannon just said right now, LED headlamps should be outlawed.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, 1,000-watt halogen airline landing lamps blowing through your dirty windshield in like thousands, like a big prism. Yeah, and the horn honking is hot. Makes me hard.
And that's right. Gregory's reminding us, did we make up any new words tonight? That's right. He likes it. Oh, and then John Duncan is reminding us, no, you didn't talk about penises. I feel robbed. We got to give the people what they want, Cary.
We didn't talk about anus at all. No anus. We talked all about lube, but no anus and no penis.
Okay. Well, let's think of a penis moment here. It fits with Mark Zuckerberg, Mexican truck drivers, and Instagram.
Mark Zuckerberg, no penis.
Yeah. So I had a neighbor in West Hollywood.
But his hair does look like pubic hair.
She was his nanny for his kid, and she had to deal with him not that often. But her job was to go up to Silicon Valley and hang out for a couple of weeks and babysit. And she had an NDA. She wasn't allowed to say anything about the guy. But I said, well, what was he, what's he like in real life? I mean, I see just kind of a skeezy character there. She said, well, that's a good way to put it. Skeezy. I said, so is he a good dad? She said, well, I can't really tell. Is he a good mom? Well, I can't really tell either. But the idea of Mark Zuckerberg nakedly, I think I'd rather see him naked than Donald Trump, now that I think of it, because we know from Renée, we know that the answer is no if Donald Trump is standing nude at the end of the bed, wearing nothing
Absolutely.
but
Yes.
garters, holding up socks.
And
In
there's
my
a golden
mushroom.
shower somewhere.
It's a beautiful mushroom.
It's the best mushroom. The hands aren't tiny at all. Also, the hands are not
I thought
tiny.
I
They're
could have
big.
sworn I sent you a picture that I had of him where they were spraying the tan on him.
I'd remember that. I would remember that.
It's one of the grossest, most disgusting pictures. You just think Jabba the Hutt right away.
I'm going to show you a picture. I'm hoping you can see it. Is that not the greatest thing you've ever seen?
You sent that to me, yeah.
It's fantastic. It's the best thing ever.
Underwater Cary Harrison.
That came from Mary Trump, and she posted that some time ago, and with the caption "bottom feeder," and that is still my all-time favorite picture of him. I think it says it all. All right, you guys, I'm gonna cut you loose.
Okay, but there's a couple more. There's a couple more comments if you want them.
Yes.
There's a couple more comments. No penis peak. There is the new word of the day.
Penis.
Who said
Penis
that?
speak. Penis speak. It's
Oh,
like when you
penis
talk
speak.
about penises. Yeah.
Oh, penis speak.
Yeah. There you go. Penis. It's the peak of. Yeah.
I had in 7th grade a quite a brilliant English teacher. He was a Kiwi, and we were studying Shakespeare. Not that you studied Shakespeare in 7th grade. It was enough to get you to sit in a chair and not freak out and fucking light shit on fire and go crazy. But the way that he got us slightly interested in Bill Shakespeare is he would put words together on the blackboard, run out of space on one side, and then start below. So, example, he would put, the pen is mightier than the sword. Do you know that phrase?
Yes.
The pen is mightier than the sword. So he would put the pen and start writing the pen at the edge of the blackboard so that there wasn't much room for is to stand alone. So you'd end up the penis mightier than the sword. Yeah, he did that
So
to the
take
perfect
penis.
line. And of course, you weren't allowed to really say anything because you're being prurient and inappropriate. And this is English class, but I just remember all of this like filthy, rotten, memes to like underaged children. These beautiful, clean, innocent minds like mine. Fucking fresh to the daisy, sitting there looking at the penis mightier than the sword. And it turns out he was right. What does that say? What's the use of an anus without a penis and lube? Hang on. Did Rory say that earlier? Or is Joe saying that?
John Duncan. Surprisingly coming from him.
I guess has he? I don't know. But he's correct, because how else are you going to ply your bulbous manhood into a constricted sphincter like that without some kind of lubrication?
With lube.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they make this stuff, I believe. Or in Florida, it is simply personal massage jelly. Let me personally massage that for you.
Happy ending.
Okay, well, there it is.
That is the happy ending. That's the happy ending of the show. That's a nice little button on it.
Yeah, very good. Very good, Rory. You buttoned it up for us. We thank everyone. We thank you, Rory Penland, man of 1,483 voices now. We saw a couple of new ones, plus Mr. Eyeballs. So that's another character.
New character.
And the great Renée Yaworsky.
Absolutely. Although I'm a little bit of a dictatress, we found that out about me, and I had to have, I had to be reminded this is a free speech zone. I was trying to just make Rory
Dictate
do my
what?
bidding. Do my bidding, Rory.
Tasting what?
Dictatress. Dictatress.
Oh,
Or
okay.
dictatrix with an X on the end.
Oh, that's
like
much
the
better.
dominatrix.
But with
Much
a-
better. Much
Anyway.
better.
Dictatrix.
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 Yeah.
Or no, dictatrix.
Dictatrix.
Yeah.
Dictatrix. A lot of tricks. Yeah. And I'm wearing leather, of course.
Okay.
My leather cap.
She's our
I
new
just,
dictatrix.
yeah. It's too bad that the camera broke because you would have seen me in a full leather or a pleather outfit. It's fantastic.
Leather. Naga hide. Naga hide.
It's Naga. It's a nudie
Fine
suit.
Corinthian leather.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys. I adore you, and I will see all of you, and Rory will see all of you next week.
With my big eyes.
All right, bye, you guys.